Hi, I'm Dan. I'm an OpenSciEd facilitator and longtime storyline teacher. And today we're going to talk about Lesson 9 in the 5th chemistry unit. This lesson is really exciting in that we're moving beyond this world of internal combustion engines into electric vehicle technology, which feels a lot newer and fresher to students. So, how we got here. In Lesson 8, we wrapped up that loop about internal combustion engines by figuring out ideas about the total bond energy and comparing the reactants and products to see the energy output. We also thought a little bit about how all carbon-based fuels are going to release predictable amounts of carbon dioxide and large amounts of carbon dioxide when they're burned. And so that helps motivate us to thinking about batteries to power electric vehicles because we know they're carbon-free. In this lesson, it's a 2-day lesson, and there's 30 minutes of required material preparation, maybe a little bit more, especially the first time, because we'll talk about this lab that you have to set up. There is an optional video because later in the lesson, when students are working with electrolytes in solution, there's an optional extension that allows you to support some additional calculations of ion concentrations in solution. And that's just going to leverage some of the types of calculations that students developed in the 4th chemistry unit. This lesson has 3 loops. In the first loop, on the start of day 1, students are going to really be in this engineering type space as they evaluate arguments about electric vehicles. And they're going to figure out both that those vehicles have some benefits as well as drawbacks. And they're going to start to think about the implications for batteries because maybe improved batteries could address some of those drawbacks. The thinking about how batteries work is really divided into 2 loops. In this first loop, students are going to examine the internal structure of the battery, and then they're going to do an investigation and make sense of it related to the electrodes. This helps them figure out the different types of metals in the battery and how they affect the energy the battery can provide. Then in this third loop, students are going to turn to the electrolytes in the battery and figure out how those work, and then apply that back to the battery as a whole in order to close the loop on the engineering thinking for the lesson. This lesson, as well as the next couple, will really interweave science and engineering thinking together in some interesting ways. So some key moments in the lesson. Part 2 is where students really are centered in that engineering thinking, which is then going to motivate the science. So students evaluate several arguments about electric vehicles. There are both points and counterpoints related to accessibility and the environment. And this is designed so that students engage with one, and then they share out in a scientist circle. This is a really good place for discussion mapping because these articles provide some fodder for students to bring something to the table, even if they feel they don't understand technical details of some of the science ideas in the unit, because everyone has an opinion about electric vehicles. This is also, when you're assigning these readings to students, it's a really interesting opportunity, if you know students have strong opinions, to give them something that may challenge their thinking a little bit and really push them to bring some of those points to the table. The goal here is not that students decide that EVs are good or bad, but they recognize they have lots of benefits, but the batteries could be improved to address some of the drawbacks that they do have. And then students will actually start to investigate what is happening in these batteries. First, there's some diagrams that help them just make sense of the parts of the battery, and they recognize the 2 main parts are the electrodes and the electrolyte. And so to investigate these electrodes, they're going to measure the voltage difference in different pairs of metals. And then they're going to tie that voltage to the energy. This requires students to use voltmeters. These voltmeters, which you'll demonstrate to students just to set it up as a tool for measuring an energy analog, are basically the same ammeters that you had in the second unit, but you're going to just have to move a couple wires around and do a little bit of re-gluing if you glued them. This shouldn't take too long, but it will take longer the first time. And this could be an opportunity that if you have a class that tends to get ahead of the other sections, to involve them in preparations for their peers by having them help with this. And then there's also this investigation where students will then go to 7 different stations, each of which has a different combination of electrodes, 2 different metals. These metals are all really commonly available ones that even if you don't have available in your classroom will be easy to get a hold of. You could substitute with different metals if you so chose. But the key thing here is that these metals all have It's a variation of ones that are very close in electronegativity as well as ones that are very different. And so then you get different voltages. After students have investigated that, they'll analyze the results and start to make a model. There's a brief discussion associated with this. This batteries poster is something that students, as soon as they were looking at the battery earlier in the lesson, started to develop with kind of that top half there. And then that bottom half, what you're really going to do in this discussion after looking at the electrodes is you're going to connect electronegativity difference, which is something that students figured out in the third unit, to forces between charges, which was a key idea in the second unit. And you're going to bring all that together with ideas about voltage and energy. And so on the poster there, you see the blue is forces thinking, the red is energy thinking. After that, we'll turn to the electrolytes rather than the electrodes. And so students are going to just analyze data for these. They will not be collecting data directly. And they're going to kind of do this in pairs. And then as you discuss that data as a class, you'll update the batteries poster above. The key idea here is that those ions are pulled toward the electrodes. So the positive ions go to the negative electrode and vice versa. And the other key idea here is that there's more, if you have more ions, there's going to be more current and more energy transferred. So we can see that there's more ions in some of the different ionic compounds that have multiple ions going on, like calcium and 2 chlorines versus sodium and 1 chlorine. And then once students have established this general principle, they're ready to select the electrodes and electrolyte in a battery design. This is where, if you chose to do the optional extension, where students think more deeply about calculating the concentration of electrodes in solution rather than just getting some of this data straight up, that's where you would use that. So from here, students have pretty much explained what's happening in batteries and how that transfers energy to a vehicle. And so now we wonder and want to apply that to hydrogen as a fuel. So some material management tips and tricks. Parts 4 and 5, where you have that investigation going on, you do want to prepare these in advance, as I said before. This is an opportunity that if you feel you're really tight on time, students could visit fewer stations and pool the data. By default, they're visiting all 7 stations, but they won't necessarily have to. As long as students, I think it would be useful if all students could see at least one of the combinations where it's no or a very low electronegativity difference, and then and therefore voltage difference, and one of the stations where it's a much higher difference. Other electrode combinations are possible. If you have other metals lying around you want to use, great. Just as long as students are seeing kind of a variety of different possibilities. Then throughout the lesson, the key thing to think about is, as tempting as it is, we want to turn this into a full-blown redox reactions lesson. That's not the goal here. That's chemistry that isn't directly in the NGSS. If that is in your state standards and you need to get there, this could be an opportunity to build that in. But the key idea here is we're trying to start from a place of engineering, and that motivates some science thinking, and then we can apply that science thinking back to the engineering. And we're really trying to do this at a high level where we're taking ideas that we developed previously in the course and we're applying them to explain what's happening in batteries. It's okay during these discussions if students aren't saying the exact things that are on the poster, right? Students never say exactly what we want them to. Instead, if the goal is to get them to say some of the big ideas, and then we can, as we pull out those ideas, we can help students massage the language into that which would be more useful to carry forward. However, if students are close, but they're not quite there, that's fine too. We can leverage that student language as well. In terms of vocabulary in this lesson, the key terms that we encounter are anode and cathode. You could also add electrode as a general term for those, as well as voltage and voltmeter. We don't necessarily co-construct these terms in this lesson because really the big ideas we are using in this lesson are reapplying, reusing ideas we built previously in the course. The new terms are just there and we encounter them to allow us to apply it to a new context. For posters in this lesson, we start off with the navigation in by returning to the driving question board. And then it's important to have the MEF poster available throughout because that's a resource we can turn to help us motivate thinking about the matter, energy, and forces in the battery. And then during the lesson, we'll create that batteries poster. And it's really useful to retain that because then we can use it to support our thinking in the next lesson as well. Speaking of that next lesson, we're going to get into what happens in a hydrogen fuel cell. So thank you.